You are sitting on the edge of the sofa. Your right foot is tapping against the floor in a rapid, rhythmic tremor. Your fingernails are digging into the soft fabric of your palms as you stare at the wall. You have not spoken a word. You have not made any sudden movements. Suddenly, your dog stands up from her bed across the room. She does not stretch or circle. She walks directly to you and leans the rigid weight of her shoulder against your leg. Her ears are pulled back and her brow is furrowed. She lets out a short, sharp breath through her nose. You assume she is simply seeking attention. You believe your internal state is a private experience, hidden behind a mask of outward stillness. This is a physiological error. Your dog is not observing your anxiety. She is downloading it. Let's begin. The canine-human bond is maintained through a process called emotional contagion. This is the involuntary mirroring of an emotional state between two social partners. This transition is managed by the olfactory system and the mirror neuron system. Mirror neurons are specialized brain cells that fire both when an individual performs an action and when they observe that action in another. In dogs, these neurons have evolved to detect human physiological shifts in real time. This processing is centered in the HPA axis. The HPA axis is the complex interaction between the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and the adrenal glands. When you experience stress, your body releases a chemical broadcast of hormones. This data is instantly captured by the dog's vomeronasal organ. This is a specialized sensory structure that detects micro-concentrations of pheromones. This biological foundation creates a closed-loop system where your nervous system and the dog's are in a constant, silent dialogue. You are standing in the kitchen, staring at a bill on the counter. Your chest feels tight. Your heart rate is accelerating. You take a deep breath and try to ignore the sensation, walking past your dog to reach for a glass of water. Your dog, who was previously resting in a deep sleep, suddenly stands up. She begins to pace a tight circle between the table and the back door. She whines once, though she was outside 10 minutes ago. You assume she is being demanding or needs a bathroom break. You believe her behavior is a separate event, unrelated to your own internal pressure. But a 2018 study in animal cognition found that dogs can detect human emotions through scent alone. Researchers tested 40 dogs by exposing them to human sweat samples from individuals in stressed and relaxed states. The finding revealed that 93.75% of the dogs showed a measurable shift in their own behavior when exposed to stress odors. The consequence for the dog in this moment is a systemic chemical takeover. When your body releases cortisol, it is emitted through your pores and your breath. Your dog is an environmental specialist. She is breathing in the physical manifestation of your internal distress. This olfactory data is routed directly to her amygdala. The amygdala is the brain's primary center for detecting threat. Her brain recognizes the chemical markers of crisis and concludes that the environment is no longer safe. This triggers a matching spike in her own heart rate and a significant decrease in her heart rate variability. This is a clinical marker of acute stress. She is pacing because her sympathetic nervous system is screaming for action. She is looking for an escape from the chemical cloud you are radiating. The pacing is a motor reflexive attempt to burn off the adrenaline she has just absorbed from the air. Her brain is mirroring your distress to prepare her for a conflict she cannot see. This chemical signal is like ink dissolving in a glass of water. The research-supported response. Practice intentional, rhythmic breathing for 2 minutes. This provides the dog with the physiological data she needs to identify that the environmental pressure has decreased, allowing her heart rate to stabilize. You are preparing to take your dog to the veterinarian. You are acting normal. You use a cheerful voice and move at your usual pace. Internally, you are dreading the interaction. You are worried about her reaction to the exam or the cost of the visit. Your dog, who usually enjoys the car, refuses to enter the garage. She backs away and tucks her tail, watching your face with intense focus. You assume she remembers a past negative event at the clinic. You believe she recognizes the route or the specific time of day. But the data contradicts this. Research into interspecies biometrics found that heart rate synchronization is a more likely trigger. The finding revealed that in 80% of tested subjects, the dog's heart rate mirrored the owner's heart rate within minutes of social contact. The consequence for the dog is a state of social dissonance. Your dog is reading a conflict between your outward vocal cues and your internal physiological state. Her brain is a precision instrument designed to detect microtensions in your facial muscles. This is managed by the superior colliculus, which directs her attention toward high salience features like your eyes and jaw. Even if your voice is high-pitched, your pupils are likely dilated and your jaw is tight. This visual data is cross-referenced with the olfactory data of your rising adrenaline. The dog's brain concludes that you are performing a deceptive signal. This creates an immediate spike in her own vigilance levels. She avoids the car because her system is telling her that you are leading her into a high-stakes conflict. Her survival depends on your stability. When your heart rate accelerates, her entire biological model of safety collapses. She cannot process your happy words because her body is vibrating with the fear she has mirrored from yours. This response is like a radio receiver picking up a distant broadcast. The research-supported response. Acknowledge your own internal state before interacting with the dog. Utilize a neutral, low-frequency vocal tone rather than a forced or cheerful voice. This provides the dog with a clear, honest data stream that reduces her internal uncertainty. You have been dealing with a high-pressure life situation for months. You are always on edge. You are always tense. Your dog has started to develop health issues. She has gastrointestinal problems or recurring skin irritations. You assume these are unrelated physical ailments. You believe the dog is simply having a run of bad health luck. But the neurological record shows otherwise. A 2019 study in Scientific Reports examined long-term stress mirroring in 58 dog owner dyads. The finding revealed a highly significant correlation between the hair cortisol concentrations of owners and their dogs over several months. The study showed that the dog's long-term stress levels were a direct reflection of the owner's long-term stress levels. The consequence for the dog is a state of quiet biological attrition. When you are chronically stressed, your dog is living in a permanent cortisol storm. This is a systemic overhaul of her baseline physiology. The chronic elevation of stress hormones leads to the suppression of the immune system. This makes her body less capable of repairing tissue or fighting off minor infections. The neurological sequence involves the constant firing of the amygdala, which inhibits the growth of new neurons in the hippocampus. This is the area of the brain responsible for memory and emotional regulation. The dog is losing her ability to cope with the world because her brain is being remodeled by your stress. She is being physically altered by the interspecies mirror. The health issues you see are the outward manifestations of an internal system that has been pushed past its limit of social buffering. She is absorbing the physiological tax of your life. This chronic load can lead to systemic issues and immeasurably shortened lifespan. This chronic stress is like a slow-burning fire. The research-supported response. View your dog's health through the lens of your own regulation. If the dog is showing signs of chronic stress-related illness, consider how much of your own emotional load she is being asked to carry. Implementing a daily routine of calm, predictable social bonding can help lower cortisol levels. We have now reached the unifying reveal, the autonomic loop. Your dog does not live in a separate emotional universe. She is a biological extension of your own nervous system. The scientific consensus is absolute. Your emotions are not private. They are a physical environment that your dog must inhabit every second of every day. This realization replaces the idea of the dog as a separate pet with a more significant reality. You are a biological radiator. Your dog is a high-precision sensor. When you are anxious, you are emitting a chemical and visual broadcast that remaps your dog's internal world. This is not a reason for guilt. It is a source of power. Because the loop is bidirectional, you have the ability to manage your dog's anxiety by managing your own. When you take care of your emotional state, you are performing an invisible and profound act of love. You are providing her with the predictable, low-pressure world she requires to thrive. The problem behaviors we often try to train out of our dogs are frequently just reflections of our own internal storms. By providing a stable center, you allow the dog to power down her own threat detection systems. True leadership is not about commands. It is about physiological consistency. The bond is a tether of shared biology. When you find your calm, you give your dog the permission to find hers. You are her secure base. Your rest is the only rest she truly knows. Taking care of your internal state is the most profound way you take care of her.